Hey, this is Al from Transformational Gaming. Appreciate you coming by. Appreciate you coming to the channel. I really am appreciative about you guys coming to the channel and commenting and liking. And I also am appreciative of the influx of new members who have come to the channel as well. Today I want to talk about Rogue-Lite games being AAA games. And this topic comes from David Jaffe, because he was talking about Metroid Dread and how he just couldn't get into it. But from the time of this video, it seems like he's still trying to try the game, but it's just not his cup of tea. A lot of it seemed that the game seems to be ubiquitous as far as where to go, what to do, how to progress in the game. I haven't played Metroid Dread, but from his description, it seems like your only real call to duty is just to keep searching for and going into different rooms for different items that'll lead you to the next room. And that's what Metroid has always been about. But I think Metroid is becoming a game that is more for its hardcore gamers, which is another reason why you shouldn't sell these type of games as AAA games. And I haven't played it, so I can't say if it's my cup of tea or not. I got a Switch, but I don't know, man. That game seems like a game where you have to commit a lot to it. And I think that's kind of where these companies are coming from. I just kind of want to get into the reason why maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Making games for the PS5 and having that anticipation for these games and them coming out to be some contrived mess of a game. Okay, and to me, okay, is applicable to this argument is Returnal. Now, I've already talked about Returnal, and you guys know my stance on what kind of game that is. And don't get me wrong, there's been games out for years, right? There's been arcade games that's like that. But the problem is that you pay $70 for it, and it's not about necessarily putting in your quarter, right? It's all about, having an experience nowadays. It's all about experience instead of trying to get that next quarter. And so I just want to talk about that real quick and kind of echo some of the stuff David Jaffe was talking about. But I want to mention a few games that falls under that umbrella that kind of represent my feeling about all of the games that kind of fold under this genre. And one of the games is Bloodborne. You can see it sold 2 million. Now, some people say 2 million is a success, especially when you look at games like Nier Automata. And admittedly, this ain't what you call a roguelike game, but at the same time, there is a start from the beginning problem that this game has. And I think when this game was released, I think a lot of people had their eyes raised because of the cult following that this game has had. And this is just a game that looked really good. Of course, it has some frame pacing issues, but that's not necessarily something that everyone's looking at. I think the game was fun. I have the game, but I could never get off the first level. And when I did get off the first level and kind of figured out how I should play, then I don't know. I said, you know what? I just can't play this game. This game is just not for me. Characters in this game is just way too hard, and when you die, you literally start from the beginning of at least a level. But this game isn't as bad as Returnal, which sold 560,000 copies. And you can say that they try to take it to the next level with Bloodborne. Now, this ain't a Souls-like game, right? Souls-like games have a different feel to them, right? So Horizon Forbidden West would be closer to what Bloodborne is. But I guess you can see the kind of the fall off as these games get harder. Like Bloodborne was just hard enough for some people. Again, I could never get the hang of it. Hey, I might try it again one day when they do some type of upgrade to it or whatever to get it at 60 frames per second. But I mean, this game let's face it, guys. And I know Sony bought Housemarque, and Jim Ryan is just in love with Housemarque. Okay, I think this game bombed. I think when people started talking about it and the information started trickling out to the masses, I think what happened was that the interest kind of fell straight off. And they was tweeting about Returnal here and there. You still get tweets about Returnal and how fun it is. And I will say the controls on it is great. Graphics are okay, and so I mean, it's not a bad looking game. It doesn't play bad. It's just nobody wants a AAA game that when you die, you start all the way from the beginning. I mean, like I said, Bloodborne does a good balance of that. Okay, but a game like Returnal, it just never had a chance. And don't get me wrong, I think 560,000 copies are great, but I guarantee you this thing won't make 600,000. And I understand the data from here is somewhat old. I would say this was taken in July, but I mean, you can see where I'm going with this. I just don't think that Sony should invest in AAA titles, which this is marketed as. It has to be a AAA title because this thing costs $70. So I'm somewhat glad that this is failing, so they know this will be a kind of a lesson to Sony not to release something like this. I think the sales kind of tell it all about it. Another game that's similar to it is Deathloop. Now, like I said, this is the most recent numbers that I got for this game. But really, I mean, they're playing the Microsoft card. They talking about Deathloop peaked at 20,000 concurrent players. I don't know how that extrapolates, right? But I think the point is that, if this did anywhere near what they expected it, I think they would be posting the numbers on here for the game sales, and they're just not. Not that I scoured the internet for those numbers. I'm pretty sure I can get them if I looked hard enough. But the point being is that this is really the only article that I could find when I typed in the name of the game and the sales numbers. So that should be good coverage for the pullback of websites that would give those numbers. So I would like to say that this game probably bombed. Okay. Right. This game, I think it bombed. And again, this is one of those games you cannot market it as a AAA title because you're just gonna get your ass handed to you. I mean, nobody's gonna buy that. Word of mouth is still one of the most effective ways of marketing. And you talking about a game like this, I'm not necessarily sure how this game goes. I've been seeing it because you guys has been playing this game and doing walkthroughs. I've been checking those out. But let's just be honest, man. Nobody's into FPS roguelikes. Marketing this as a AAA title, you get what you got. My hopes is that, again, these companies see that nobody wants to devote a crazy amount of time. There's got to be a smarter way to entice people to come back to your game outside of making it incredibly hard, because people just don't got time for that, man. Your time is money, and that's a very valuable commodity. I've talked about it before. Metroid fans, this is the game that David Jaffe was talking about. Just I did a sweep earlier when I found this article, and like I said, this is just kind of me being kind of suspicious and dubious about companies and where they stand. To be totally honest with you, I would like to think that this game has bombed, and you can tell when there's no sales numbers. So my point is that, and I've said this several times within the video, but I mean, don't sell games like this and then market them as a AAA title. Because when you do that, the games are usually out of the control zone of where casual gamers and hard gamers alike are not able to play this game because it's too hard, people don't have time, and people just don't want to deal with a game like Returnal or like Deathloop. I mean, nobody wants to deal with that. So, not to say these games doesn't have a place, but these are indie games. Make no mistake about it. Now, I think Returnal would have did fabulous had it been a indie game. If you market this as an indie game, by all means, man. But just let us know. I just feel like Returnal was a game. Deathloop is another game that's kind of marketed to the people who are excited and have time to learn the game to the point where they can dodge all of those crazy shots and get hit with one lick hit quitters and have the time enough to go all the way back to the beginning and fight your way up to that boss again. But for people who have families that want a game, all right, that do want a challenge, but don't want that type of challenge. I mean, this is literally starting you over from the beginning of the game. And Deathloop and Returnal are two cases where I can just imagine a game like Vanquish. Vanquish is a phenomenal game, all right? But I'm telling you right now, this game would not be on my channel if you got hit with a one-lick quitter or a two-lick quitter or didn't know what was going on and then you end up dying. Okay? There's no way that Vanquish would be what it is if you had that in the gameplay. And it just is what it is. And so putting a lot into the graphics, putting a lot for the time, for development, the R&D and stuff like that, the storyline and stuff like that, that stuff doesn't fit in that type of game. That is an indie roguelike. And so I'm hoping that these companies learn their lesson. Look, man, we all make mistakes. I'm looking at the sales numbers. I know that these games is bombed. And it's not to my chagrin. It's not to my delight. It's just that people in the industry need to wake up and understand that people do not have time to start all the way over from the freaking beginning of the game once you die. Now, you know, that's the flip side of that is, to me, making a game hard, as long as you got some type of difficulty level, you know, or there's a checkpoint. Man, there's a lot of games out there. I think Battlefield is crazy hard. I think the campaign mode is crazy. I think it was Battlefield 5, I think. Yeah, I thought that was absolutely insane. But it was playable. That's what I'm saying. It was playable, man. Yeah, it got hard real quick. You know, maybe they shouldn't have put that in there. But people can stand that. People can stand a challenge. It's just when you don't have no milestones, no quick save, no nothing, you know, to save your progress. And man, when you just die, you just dead, and you got to go all the way from the beginning. Man, there's no way, there's nowhere in the gaming sphere for all of that, for people who have lives. Okay. Now, again, lowering the graphics, Xing the story out of the game, putting the story, I guess, lowering the story development in the game. I'm all for that. Make it an indie game. Those graphics don't have to be where they at. I don't even think the graphics are all that, you know, special, but they do look great for what they are. They don't have to for that game to be successful. The control on there was great. You know, they could have made it a cell shader. But the point is that putting these games in the AAA sphere and marketing it really does no justice. I mean, this needs to be a indie game. It needs to be promoted as an indie game so people will know, hey, that may not be for me. Anyway, I think I talked on long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, I don't have anything against hard games, but I do have a problem with hard games that once you die, you start from the beginning of the game. You know, so I hope we understand that correlation. And, you know, give me a like, comment, subscribe on the page. I know you guys have been doing very well for me, and I just appreciate that. Let's continue to do so. It will be recognized in the future, but for right now, I'm still trying to get there. All right, so until then, the truth shall set you free. Later.